Hello. It's Bobby Manning here for Celtics Jazz. I believe we did the last one here in February. Things have changed a little bit. We got both these teams going in opposite directions. Jazz have slid a little bit over the last 6 games or so. Celtics soaring, going back before the All-Star break. Not exactly. They played a G League Rockets team. Nets smacked them pretty bad late in that fourth quarter. So I don't think we can necessarily say the Celtics are blazing coming in here, but they're healthier. They had a nice run before the All-Star break, so it all counts. And we're going to watch it here, as we've done throughout this season. We're going to talk a little bit of the trade rumblings that have gone on around the NBA. We're just 9 games away from the trade deadline. So I'll let you all vent your ideas. We'll hit on that Tristan Thompson idea. He has, well, I can't say that. He's in COVID protocol, or health and safety protocol, as the NBA wants us to call it. So we'll get to all that, but the Celtics have jumped out to a 10-5 lead early in this game. Looking good in that wing-heavy lineup. The story tonight, of course, no Tristan. Daniel Tice moves to center. Semi Ojeleye starts surprisingly over Marcus Smart, who is limited, so it makes sense to some degree that they're going to get Smart his set rotations and then have him close the game rather than start it, if this ends up being a close game. So Jason Tatum, nice run out. Had a jumper early in this one. Kemba Walker bouncing around the screen, airballs it. Semi Ojeleye saves it. Up to Jaylen Brown, who's going to be guarded by Donovan Mitchell. Floater, good. 12-5 is the score early. 17 in the room. Nice to have all you here. I'm going to pull up our chat, see what you guys are saying. Mike Conley, the All-Star, has had an outstanding year. Royce O'Neal, dominant defensively. It will be interesting to see how he does guarding Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Donovan Mitchell, out to Conley. That's a shot clock violation. And 4.5 minutes in, Jazz, slow offensively. They shot 44% against the Warriors on Friday night. 34% from 3. 5 turnovers early in this one. Jaylen Brown bouncing around the screen. Back rim. Tice trying to bat it back in. And the Jazz are going to take it the other way. Mike Conley. Out to O'Neal. He passes up a shot. Bojan. He gets against Daniel Tice. Mitchell. Jab steps. Crossover. No good. Jaylen Brown with the stop. I'm liking how active the Celtics look early. A little bit of pace to their game. They're rotating defensively. Kemba Walker pull up 2. Good. That's 14-5. Jazz timeout. And the Celtics, rhythm, pace, intensity early against the best team in the NBA, the Utah Jazz. Now, nobody believes in this team being the best in the NBA. They've been doubted across the board outside of Utah. Their finals odds are still in the thousands, I believe. And teams have been fooled by the likes of the Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors, the Boston Celtics even, the year that they were the 1 seed. And teams don't want to believe in a group like this, who has cooled down substantially, relies on the 3 almost exclusively at this point. I know you have a creator in Donovan Mitchell, but out in the Western Conference. And I've talked to a friend about this who follows that team on a regular basis. Even he admits, you're going against the Nuggets. It's Jamal Murray. It's Nikola Jokic. That could be round 1 in the Western Conference. Never mind when you get to the Clippers, who have Kawhi and George. The Lakers have LeBron, Davis, ultimately. They will. And even think of middling teams out there. Portland's got Damian Lillard. Would you ever rather have Damian Lillard or Donovan Mitchell? I mean, that one's not even a question. The Warriors are looking like they're going to be involved in the playoffs this year. I'd rather have Steph Curry than Donovan Mitchell. So what series in the Western Conference would the Jazz have the best player in? Even if they're the 1 seed. Let's think of the Suns. Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell. Probably Mitchell. But you have to think about that a little bit. Would you rather have Ayton or Gobert? Gobert or Devin Booker, never mind, if we're going to talk about second best players on a team. So the Jazz, what are they going to add? I know my friend that I just mentioned wants them to see them add Victor Oladipo. It's going to be a tough one with the salary, with the matching. They're going to give up Bogdanovich, who they love, who's played fairly well, at least better than Oladipo has. They're in a tough position. Is their only midseason acquisition going to be Ersan Ilyasova, who right now can't even get in a game? Be hard-pressed to make a run in the West if that's the case. So right now, Donovan Mitchell 0-3. Bogdanovich, Conley missed their first shots. O'Neal's got a 3. Celtics going to live with that. Gobert's a diving make. Celtics are going to live with that. But overall, in recent weeks, we've seen the Jazz dip just enough efficiency-wise. The defense is top 5, but it's not won by a million miles. This offensive league, it's going to be tougher to win if you're not keeping up on the offensive side of the ball. Now, one thing I've noticed this week, and I know I was off last week, wasn't fully locked into the All-Star stuff and last few games that the Celtics and other teams have played. It seems like the numbers around the league offensively are starting to dip down to 110 range, whereas they were 113 to 115 early in the year. So just enough of a regression offensively that you might see the Nets, the Jazz, these offensively reliant teams gain a better advantage as everyone else is no longer scoring those ridiculous figures. But look at the Jazz. I mean, they just gave up 130, 128 at least in 3 of the last 6 games. So that upside, that ceiling is still there for NBA teams to score on any given night. This is the Jazz defense. I don't think, defensively you're not going to regress. It's just this year, anybody's willing to blow the roof off. And is the Jazz offense truly good enough to play 7 great games in a series and close it out in a Game 7? I mean, we saw last year the same exact team couldn't do it against the Nuggets. So that makes you think they're going to do it against the Clippers. What makes you think they're going to do it against the Lakers, who are actually that number 1 real deal defense that I mentioned? I mean, we've seen them do it against all kinds of caliber teams last year. So Robert Williams getting some early run here. Utah starts this one 2-7. So good rotation for that starting unit. Kemba Walker taking a seat. We got 6:02 to go in the frame. Bojan. Derek Favors getting some run here. It's going to be a tough game for Robert Williams. Both these centers for Utah are really good. A ton of people are waiting to see what can he do here on this big stage. He just had the best game of his career. Tatum flips a pass over him to Brown on the left wing. Brown's floater good again. Getting that right hand free in the post and knocking down floaters. Four makes in 7 minutes for Jaylen Brown. Jordan Clarkson off. Jazz offense completely stalling past the 6-minute mark. They only have 5 points. They're down 11. Jason Tatum avoids the Rob screen. Reverse fake. Blocked by Favors. It was a good move. Better defensive play by Favors. Mitchell, O'Neal, Bogdanovich at the top. Rob covering him. Screen. Mitchell wants to pull up on Rob. He beats both of them, and Semi Ojeleye comes around to help and Favors. That's going to leave him wide open for a dunk. Good action. Rob gets lost a little bit on the defensive end there. Needs to drop. Needs to cover the post in that spot, but the gravity of Donovan Mitchell, one of the best pull-up shooters in this league. Saw him in the three-point contest. Held him back, and now Ojeleye, short roll. That short pick and roll has become an effective weapon for Semi Ojeleye. He goes baseline, and Robert Williams is underneath for the diving make. 18-7 is the score. Joe Ingles 3. The all-time leader in Jazz three-pointers, as TNT points out. We're going to start seeing interesting names take over the all-time shooting list on teams. Will Marcus Smart eventually become the all-time three-point leader for the Boston Celtics? That's going to be possible if he sticks around for another contract. It's likely. With his volume, with how good he is. Connor, thanks for joining us. Romeo's healthy, and he has COVID. You got that 100% right. All right, appreciate you guys being here. I'm tweeting out the YouTube link if you're watching on Twitter. Would appreciate a subscribe. We're going to be doing these fairly often here. Jaylen Brown spinning, turns it over. Loose with the ball there. Jeff Teague's on the court now. So Celtics get deeper into their bench unit. Jaylen recovers, though. Blocks Donovan Mitchell from behind. Ingles, three-point on the kickout, though. Recovery going to be good, 18-13. Joe Ingles has knocked down a pair of threes. All right, guys, thoughts early. Celtics starters playing good. Bench not as strong defensively. And Marcus Smart and Robert Williams are playing on that bench unit. Andy. Yeah, we try to. We try to do it. Appreciate you being here. Like I said, if you're new to this YouTube channel, it's the place to go. Bobby Manning. I always say the preacher comes up first when you search it, but I'm usually going to be number 2 on the list when you search Bobby Manning. So I'd appreciate a subscribe over there. In fact, we are 1 away from 100. So if you subscribe now, we have 100 subscribers. So we're going to talk about Tristan. You're never going to get a straight answer, but it sounds like he tested positive for COVID. I mean, if something came back this afternoon, I guess it could be inconclusive or something like that, and they just did a precaution. It's always confusing how one player among the group could be positive and not have concerns of asymptomatic or untraceable stuff going on with the others, but they think that they test enough multiple times a day before and after games, mornings, that they can keep up with this at a rate that is going to be effective enough. But either way, I wouldn't expect him to play tomorrow. And if it's positive, then he's gone for a week or 2. So we're looking at Tice Williams being that rotation. And can you bump up Rob? Appreciate it, Connor. Thank you. 100. My man Soapy, fellow podcast host. Thanks for being here. Can you bump him up to 25, 30 minutes? Can he handle that physically? Can he handle that into rotations against more starting units, into crunch time? I mean, we've seen him do it against good teams, good offenses. He did it against the Pelicans, and he has saved them against teams that are even better than that down the stretch. The Indiana Pacers, I thought he played so well in that game. Throughout the Rockets one, but again, in his own right, forgetting the competition that he played against, I thought he looked outstanding. It was a perfect game, some said. You can nitpick stuff here or there, but for a third-year player who is really in his first year playing consistent minutes, the standard is low, and I think he's blown past it. So at the very least, I keep saying this. Rob is playing the role that he needs to play right now. and it's going to go up if he keeps playing well. We're about a month into him playing really well. You could argue that he's the most efficient player in the NBA right now. And I'm not loving his start in this one, but, we're like 2 or 3 minutes into his rotation. My point, all I'm trying to emphasize is that he's not going to make or break this team. Kemba Walker is going to make or break this team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, those guys' ability to lead this unit is going to decide where the Celtics go. Now, here's what I'll say about Rob. And I love Daniel Tice. I'm obviously the biggest advocate of Tristan Thompson. But the way that the Celtics are playing this year, isolation, pick and roll, almost every single possession. And what a pass by Rob. Oh, man. Rob just did a one-hand flick pass with the wrist down to the post on a Jaylen Brown cut. That was pretty. As I try to pour some cold water on him, I see what you guys are seeing. Got to write that one down. As he gets his hand in a passing lane. And it looks like it's going to be maybe a shot clock violation. Oh, my God. What a give and go by Jaylen and Rob at the top of the offense. That's what I love about Rob, too. He can not necessarily lead an offense, but he can play high enough that his passing, of course, he doesn't shoot threes, but his passing is going to be effective on handoffs and stuff like that from the top of the arc. And then, of course, he can dive from there in those situations. And here you go again, running him out of a handoff. Teague, pull up three. Ooh. It's the right side of the backboard. And there's Rudy Gobert on a lob. There's a guy that Robert Williams can learn from. That's who he's got to watch, Rudy Gobert. Unreal pass. We're going to have to replay that at some point tonight. Jaylen flip out of the pass on an entry. Grant gets it back. He's into the game now. Marcus Smart, high floating 2, just off. And it's 20-15 Celtics with a minute and a half to go here. Jazz taking it in the zone. Ingles gets around to Gobert 3. That shot is so pretty. And there's Georges Niang. Someone did not box out on that play, and it might have been Marcus Smart. That's what I saw on the weak side there. As Niang just came and laid it back in. That's a 10-2 Jazz run. Pick and pop for Rob. Good. That's what you get from him, too. A little pick and pop action from 16 feet. So Rob has turned it around well here this past minute and a half. 22-17 Celtics. Marcus Smart tips out an entry pass to Gobert. T going to be fouled, and there's a steal for Marcus Smart. So a good run for Rob's going to end here unless the Celtics are going double big. I see Daniel Tice coming back into the game. Appreciate it, my man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping in here, guys. You got to bounce in and out. Do your thing. Watch this game however you got it. But if you're able to stop in here and spend a few minutes, then happy to take some questions, start some conversation throughout this game. As long as it's not too close. Keep an eye on it right now because this one, after a 10-2 Jazz run, getting a little close. Daniel Tice saves a pass from getting stolen by the Jazz on an entry. Kemba Walker over to Smart. Smart, quick 3, air ball. Couple air balls for the Celtics this quarter. Kemba, Teague, and Smart now. And Mike Conley into the zone with a transition 3. 22 seconds to go, and the Jazz are within a possession. Bench minutes have not been kind to the Celtics tonight. Obviously, that's where they extended their lead into a blowout against the Rockets early on Sunday as Kemba Walker turns it over and a couple bad possessions in a row. 3 seconds to go. Jazz can tie it or take the lead. Ingles front rims it. And the Jazz go for the lead, but they get close enough. 22-20, Celtics lead, and in the second quarter. So what do we get stat-wise here? Let's pull it up. Jaylen Brown, those 2 floaters, 5 shots overall able to go inside the arc. He got into that paint area and did some damage. Starters as a whole looked real good in that first 12 minutes. Rotated well, lots of wing action. Jason Tatum, a little too fancy out there, 1 of 4, but overall had a good quarter. Team high +8. Marcus Smart went out there and missed 3 shots. Missed Niang on a box out, I thought. Might have misread that, but it looked like, from the look on his face especially, that was his bad on a putback that is part of the Jazz's big run heading into the second quarter. Jeff Teague missing a 3, missing it badly off the right backboard. And Grant Williams, doing what Grant Williams does. So there you go. There's your first quarter. On the Jazz end, they found Gobert for a lob. They found Ingles for a couple open threes. Derek Favors getting involved in some rolls, some offensive rebounds. Mike Conley late drained that big 3. And, they're shooting and rolling and crashing the boards kind of team. That's what you get with the Jazz. It's not going to be a lot of in-between action. And that run to close the quarter ultimately brought them to 6-4, 9-4, 12-4, 12-4 run before half. How many free throws in that first half? Just heard on the radio. It was a quick first quarter, and I'll say it was 0 free throws for either team. So one thing about the Celtics is they get away from this double big action that they had been previewing, and now will be inevitable as Tristan Thompson goes down, at least for tonight, is they won't be as dominant of a rebounding team. I'd say, per minute, they've been as good as any team in the league right now rebounding. And I say that not only from the cumulative numbers, but against the likes of the Jazz, the Clippers, some of the best rebounding teams in the league. I feel like they've been so competitive this year. I've been tracking those numbers closely. You have 2 of the best offensive rebounders in the league in Robert Williams and Tristan. Their wings, obviously, are outstanding rebounders. Marcus Smart, one of the best box-out guards in the league. Jaylen Brown, Tatum, both capable of getting double-figure rebounds. This team attacks the offensive glass as an ideology this year, it feels like. But early on, Jazz have a significant advantage there, and as the Celtics have gone more wing-heavy tonight, that might be part of it. As Daniel Tice, I was just laughing, drove into the paint, swung the defense inside, out-faked it, and threw it out to Grant Williams for like a 10-foot 2-man game action right in the post area. That was interesting. It looks like who just got a block there? Was that Kemba? No, it was Grant. Grant gets a block. Tice recovers it. Tice, on the other end, hits a shot right above the free throw line. So Daniel Tice getting involved. Only 6 minutes on Sunday. He is going to be a 30, 35-minute, close to 40 minutes a night guy as long as Tristan Thompson's out. He is so reliable. All his teammates are back from that starting lineup. They want to run that unit as much as they can. He obviously has the chemistry with Grant that we just saw. And I still throw it back to that Wizards game when he hit 3 shots from the free throw area down the stretch of that game, like set up Jason Tatum to commit his heroics down the stretch of that game. So Daniel Tice runs some offense out of the high post. Throwing it out to Tatum. Pick and pop action. 3. Good. Daniel Tice early on. Boards. Jumpers. Creation. Daniel Tice. Still as steady, as reliable as any center in this league. As Joe Ingles hits his third 3 early in the second quarter. He's a guy who tortured the Celtics in Utah last month, and when the Jazz absolutely smoked the Celtics in that second half. And now, Daniel Tice on some rolling action off Jason Tatum from the high elbow area is going to get in for a cutting layup. 9.6 rebounds for Daniel Tice. And do you feel good about him playing 35, 40 minutes? I think you do. Mike Conley around the screen, going to hit back with a 3 again. Now Tatum getting into the lane with a Tice steal. Gets a floater to go. Celtics starting lineup looking so good. Peyton Pritchard out there with them now. Grant Williams with Kemba and Tatum. As Jordan Clarkson hits a 3 and ties the game. The Jazz are on fire from 3 to start this quarter. Celtics and Jazz just hit 3 shots back to back to back each. Make it 4. 4 for the Jazz on that end. Now Kemba able to get Jordan Clarkson on the strip this time. I throw a little stat at you about Kemba. As it looks like Grant lost the ball out of bounds. Yep. Turnover Celtics. So Kemba was snooping around the Jazz newspapers earlier, doing a little research on this game, reading about Ersan Ilyasova, and they were writing about Ilyasova as one of the top, or maybe the top, charge take guys in the league, as the Jazz had another 5 straight threes, or 5 straight jumpers, that is, for the Jazz. 4 straight threes, Jordan Clarkson with 3 straight, the 6th man of the year, almost undisputed at this point. Pride of the Philippines. Makes the Jazz 8 of 17 from 3 as him and Joe Ingles are peppering this defense, the Celtics defense, with threes. And they have a lead here almost halfway through the second quarter. Kemba gone on the first play. But again, with some pacing in the zone off a turnover. And turnovers have been a problem for Kemba this year. I'll point that out. He's given the turnover there, trying to throw it high over Grant Williams. So on Kemba, Ilyasova, number 1 guy in this league from 2015 to 2020, playing with the Bucks and others, taking charges. Kemba Walker, 3rd over that stretch, with 105 charge takes from 2015 to 2020. Now, if we throw that back to the playoffs last year, 17 games, we're talking about, get the exact number for you, just to show you another underrated aspect of Kemba Walker's defense, which I think is often underrated. Positionally, I think he's great. I think he hustles like crazy on that end, gets a lot of steals, and takes a lot of charges to the degree where last postseason. Get you the exact number. $15 in 17 playoff games last year. Kemba Walker drew 15 charges. In 22 games this year, 14. I'm sure we'll see one tonight. We haven't yet. But it feels like he gets a charge, or takes a charge rather, every single game that the Celtics play. I thought it was going to come out to a 1 average. It's below, but not by much. So Kemba Walker, I think we can say it. As far as size goes, one of the best at taking charges in the entire NBA if we're considering size as being part of the metric and being in the lane. You know, these bigger guys, these wings, centers certainly, they're going to be in the lane to take charges. Kemba's got to stay with his man, rotate from the perimeter as help, or, as always possible, stay with his man all the way from the perimeter, set himself in the lane, and take that charge. Another reason I love Kemba Walker being on this team now, that turnover's a little high. They've been bad at times. But I believe in Kemba Walker as he pulls up around the tight screen, hits a three. There's Kemba Walker. Right out of the timeout with a three to tie this game. Jazz go under the screen there and leave him wide open a few steps behind the three-point line. The Jazz turn it over again. Ton of Jazz turnovers in this first half. Is Quinn Snyder going to call in some reinforcements from the bench? Kemba Walker, again, stepping in that free throw line, gets it to go. Kemba Walker with some fire out of this timeout. Glad I just spent a few minutes on him. He is continuing to look so good out of this break. It looks like the Celtics are staggering these Robert Williams minutes against Derek Favors. Gobert just came out of the game, pointed out Quinn, calling from reinforcements, and Kemba Walker heading to the locker room, grabbing his neck. That was weird. So Kemba Walker just had a flurry of shots midway through the second quarter, and he just went to the locker room for some reason. So Kemba Walker just talked about his defense. We just saw his offense, and we're seeing now health. The biggest unknown around him as a smaller guy beyond the knee concerns. Quite long into his career, not many years off. As Rob gets a lob to go. That's going to lead to a Jazz timeout as the Celtics bounce ahead 42-38, thanks in no small part to Kemba Walker, who for some reason is now out of this game. Assist on that, Jaylen Brown, who's been quite adept at throwing those lobs to Brown. It doesn't take a ton of skill when you have leaping ability that can get you up to 15 feet above the ground to throw lobs down, which we've seen Rob do this year. Doesn't take a ton of accuracy to get that up there, and on that one it didn't certainly. Rob just goes up there, he gets it, and he makes it happen. Strong game for Rob here. They're putting him in the best position to succeed right now, staggering him against the Derek Favors, who Brad knows he's going to be able to take advantage of better than Rudy. So per minute, per rotation, you're getting the max out of Rob Williams. Maybe not the max. There might still be some untapped potential there. I'd like to see him up closer to, say, 23 minutes a night. Would that work? Doesn't feel like we're even going to see that tonight. Feels like they're still going to keep him in that range that they have been. But it's deliberate. Where can we get the most success from him? Where can we limit the strain on him? And so far this game, he is 3 of 3. Rebound, a flashy assist, a block in the lane. All right, guys, timeout. What do we got? Talking Tristan trades. We talking John Collins, who there doesn't seem to be a huge market for right now. We hear the Timberwolves through ESPN interested in acquiring him, but what do they have to give up? Are these teams willing to max him as he seemingly wants to? Is there a max out there for him? If there's not, the Hawks might be smart to keep him around and try to squeeze a nice second contract out of him and maybe trade him at some point during that second contract before he heads to free agency unrestricted. So Chris Grenham, our good buddy, former CLNS Media member, he says that Kemba's back on the bench, not getting any attention, so that's good news. On the court, it's Tatum, it's Smart, Robert Williams, Jaylen Brown, and Semi Ojeleye. So starters, Smart in for Kemba, as Jason Tatum hits a step-out three, gets a steal on the inbounds. What a play by Tatum. Lob to Rob from the ground, kick out to Brown. That was a fun play there. And Tatum showing some hustle on the defensive end, which we haven't seen a ton of this year. I've been really advocating for him to be that elite defender that he has been early in his career. He just made a big play there after a step-back three. And gets a rolling two to go. Love that sequence from Tatum. It looked like Favors just bumped Rob inside. Rob feeling right after that one. Took him a little while to get up. as Tatum takes over the offense again. Tosses it to Rob. Rob, handoff action to Brown. Screen. Gets Brown free of Mitchell. Cutting smart, good. That's what the Celtics have been missing, that backline cutting action, movement off the ball. Marcus Smart always gives you that, and he has looked so good since his return. As he stays with Donovan Mitchell, forces him to kick it out, and Brown gets a steal. A couple of big plays by Marcus Smart in a row on both ends of the court. Toss it back to Brown. Brown loses the ball. Mitchell nearly steals it from him. That looks like it's going to be a backcourt. No, they call it a deflection. Rob recovers. Brown, Smart. Turnover. Looks like it's going to be a turnover. So some defense getting the Celtics going right now. 49-43 is the score. Celtics have looked so strong here. For most of this first half, rotation's crisp. They're tight. Starters are back, and we're seeing the top end of this team impact. And one of them's Jaylen Brown, who hits his 6th shot late here in the second quarter. Jazz have 12 turnovers, and the Celtics' activity has forced it. They are holding a great turnover differential right now. As Clarkson, he's the tough guy to stop. Him, Joe, and Glaze. He got that right hand to loosen the paint, and he got a right-hander to go. As the Celtics are 13 of 15 from the field, as TNT shows there. A prolific frame as Brown makes the second pass to Ojeleye. Ojeleye turns it over, dropped the pass. It was a fine pass. Ojeleye just dropped it. So Ojeleye, he's going to get the minute bump with double bigs gone. They don't have many wings here in Boston. It's hard for them to run that 3-wing rotation, especially with Smart, Kemba, not pushing those minutes too far. So those extra minutes are going to go to Semi Ojeleye or Javonte Green. Clarkson, right wing. Know some of you want to see Neesmith take him, but I think we're past that. Mitchell, Tice too low on the screen, and Mitchell makes him pay. 51-48. So a couple turnovers trying to go emotionally in the wing, hurting the Celtics here. They built a good turnover differential by forcing 12 on the Jazz, but they still have grand total of 8 in their own right. Smart. Long pass to Tice. Tice just threw the ball up, falling out of bounds. Not sure what he was doing. Smart's confused too. So a few sloppy possessions on the smart-led bench unit. Get the Jazz within 51-50. Clarkson gets that first one to go, but Mitchell and him combined for 3 straight shots, get the Jazz right back into this one. So Semi just fouled Mitchell. Not a particularly aggressive defender is Semi. We all saw that play against the 76ers early this year when he defended Danny Green in the corner with the hands behind his back, trying to avoid fouling. He's not going to take those risks to get steals, blocks, that kind of stuff. In fact, for quite a long time this season, as our friend Ryan Bernardoni pointed out, 0 blocks, 0 steals. Now he's picked up quite a few steals since then. I still believe he has 0 blocks off the top of my head. But he keeps the fouls low, and Stevens likes that. Kind of a soft tap there. He went underneath Mitchell was the problem. And they're calling it a flagrant. It's called a flagrant foul on Semi Ojeleye for going underneath Donovan Mitchell. And a rough first half for Semi Ojeleye could result in a deficit for the Celtics. We will be live after the game. Celtics post game. I'm back tonight. Joe Sway is back as well. H. Rod Blakely, I hope you guys enjoyed him. He will be on occasionally this season. We'll have guests. We'll have Cedric Maxwell. Not much during games, I don't think, because of his broadcasting responsibilities. We, of course, have Nick. I know a lot of you love Nick. I know a lot of you didn't love that call. So look at the chat here. Birkin, very upset. War on Semi. As the Celtics get the secondary stop to go after the 3-point foul. Marcus Smart going to draw Mitchell's defense now. Can the Celtics take the lead back before the half? Jaylen Brown. Tice. Kemba. Short roll. Tice's shot no good. Rushed it. Should have made an extra pass there. 52-51. Jazz. Turn it over. Is that 13 turnovers now for the Jazz? So that foul in the end just ends up being 2 of 3 on the free throws. Jazz missed the ensuing possession, and they have missed another one since, as Jaylen Brown runs a nice pick and roll to Daniel Tice, who's had an outstanding first half. Rob's been great. Tice outstanding, as the Celtics go ahead 53-52 on his pick and roll action. And Kemba Walker, 2 seconds left, called for a foul. Nope, they called Tice on the initial action. Looks like a touch foul. Going around the screen on a switch. Mitchell in the bonus. Gonna get some free throws here. So 1 second left. Kemba hated the call. Tice confused too. Did look like Tice whacked his arm across him there. You know, Tice never believes he commits a foul, ever. Don't think he's gotten the benefit of the doubt, but Tice won 0 fouls called on him, it seems, because right there he whacked his arm across on the drive. And Mitchell hits both. It's going to be a lead for the Jazz at halftime, but a solid quarter for these Boston Celtics, who are 4-point underdogs in this game, going against the best team in the NBA right now. Looks like Mike Conley, Marcus Smart, maybe having some words in the halftime locker room there. How impressive was Daniel Tice? Robert Williams, great off the bench. Bench units overall weren't all that remarkable. I think Kemba, Smart, the likes got a little wild out there. But an efficient start for Jaylen Brown. Thought Jason Tatum had a few flashes there. Kemba Walker had more than a few flashes. And that starting unit with the wings looked cohesive. But Semi Ojeleye had such a weak first half. Granted, those extra minutes right now with Tristan Thompson down. And that's ultimately what seemed to cost the Celtics this quarter, that closing stretch. They were largely able to keep the Jazz off the board, but that costly foul, and I do think it was a foul. Ultimately, starters somewhere between +4 and +9 with the core 3. Semi Ojeleye only a +2. Daniel Tice +1. What did it? Fouling down the stretch. Cost the Celtics big time. Jazz 6 of 7 from the free throw line. The Celtics shot 0. So there we have it, 54-53. So what were the moments of that first half, guys? What stuck out? So I'm going to write them down. I think those Brown floaters early. Daniel Tice, Robert cutting in the basket. Of course, that Robert Williams wrist pass to Brown for a cutting layup. As Brown made 5 of his first 7. Ends that quarter overall. 6 of 9 from the field. Tice 5 of 9, Tatum 5 of 9, Walker 4 of 6. Overall 59% start for this offense. My first quarter notes. Wings. Spread offense. Right now, what I see from that, I see movement. Smart's cutting. Let's throw Brown in there too. Brown cuts. He's on the ball more, but he's cutting. I see an empowered Tatum. I see empowered Tice and Rob. You know, they can both be empowered. You need multiple centers. I know you guys want to see Rob play 48 minutes, but show Tice some love for a strong first half. Defense. Better, but not much better. Tough offense to guard, but even though the rim protection seemed to be bigger or better. Defensive rebounding and three-point shooting hurt the Celtics. What else are we talking about here? Semi Ojeleye, corner. Turnovers with Smart and Brown. Flagrant foul. Where do Thompson minutes go? Not to Rob, to Semi. That's why Celtics need a win. Been saying it all year. Celtics need a win. And what does Griffin T say here? John Collins. How good would he look where Semi Ojeleye is right now? In a game like this, you have your centers, so he can play the wing. I know he gets classified as a big. I see Collins as a 4 type. I've seen him play the 5 quite a bit for the Atlanta Hawks, and it doesn't work all that well. I think he'd be the perfect 4. 4 spacing, cutting, rebounding at a 4 position. It's necessary, and he's interchangeable on the wing. Can play off Brown. Tatum doesn't need the ball in his hands. I've been a big advocate of John Collins to the point where I wouldn't like to, but I would think about trading Marcus Smart for him. 5 years over, or I guess it'd be 4 because of the second team. 4 years over 1. It's all we're talking. Marcus Smart effectively only has 1 year left with this team after this. He got hit on that first contract, a 12 to 14, 16 in the last year deal. Marcus Smart is probably worth over $20 million as a 3-point shooter, ball handler, and defender, an all-defense type player. Someone's going to pay Smart, I think, when the time comes. And we'll see where the cap is and all that and availability. Teams usually keep space open for major, if not Julius Randle type players at the least. But Marcus Smart, for a team that needs playmaking, he's a wing and a point guard. Think of, I know his name's been thrown around a lot. Maybe this is something you even think about. Would you trade Marcus Smart for Lonzo Ball? Not saying I would. I think I would trade him for John Collins. Would I trade him for Lonzo Ball? I wouldn't right now. I probably wouldn't right now. But I would think about it. Because same deal as Collins. 1 year versus 4 years. The Pelicans might say no to it because they may not believe that they can keep Smart. But they need defense. They need a playmaker. They need a veteran. Or maybe they come away with a pick or something out of it. I don't know. I think that's a fair swap even. I don't think any team needs to throw picks in that. Ball has obviously come a long way this year. Is a restricted free agent at the end of this year. The Pelicans seem to be going back and forth on whether or not they can keep him. There's a strong sense that they can, because I don't think there'll be significant money for him out there. But how much money is significant for Ball, period? Like, we know Ball is not going to get $20 million, but would you even go like 16, 18 million on him? Would you even go 14 million on Lonzo Ball? I don't think the Pelicans want to commit major money to him because right now there's already going to be a crunch eventually between Ingram. They're paying Steven Adams stupid money. I don't know why they're paying Steven Adams as much as they are. They extended Steven Adams, which is going to hurt them. And Griffin, credit to the work he did in Cleveland, but it has not been an amazing start for his Pelicans tenure. It doesn't look like they have the right team around Zion, Ingram. And are they ultimately going to lose some of those core young pieces because of the money they've spent on veterans like Eric Bledsoe, bringing him in for Drew Holiday, all those picks? Obviously an enormous pick haul from the Bucks, but I don't know. Are you going to get even Drew Holiday out of those picks? You never know, especially coming from the Bucks who have extended Giannis at this point. Are any of those Bucks picks going to be good? And now it looks like they might lose Lonzo Ball for a minimal return. So maybe the Celtics don't even have to throw Marcus Smart in there. Maybe you throw some of your young players at New Orleans. and you ride out the Ball contract and the Smart contract together. It certainly pad the guard depth on the Celtics team and provide some insurance behind Kemba Walker if he ultimately isn't healthy or effective at some point down the line. Problem is, where are you allocating your money if you're the Celtics? Signing Ball long term would hurt you down the line when Kemba comes up. Brown and Tatum eventually come up, and maybe you line up some contracts at that stretch down the road. That seems to be some of the hesitation. These Collins-type moves, Ball-type moves, and anybody else that's going to be here long term. I think Harrison Barnes lines up nicely, but the question the Celtics seem to be having with him is, does he move the needle enough to dive all the way into that TPE? As they will, $22 million out of the $28 million would be going out the window for Harrison Barnes, because the way the TPE works, I think this gets confused sometimes a little bit, is that it doesn't combine with contracts at all. So say the Celtics send out Aaron Nesmith and Carson Edwards for the Harrison Barnes trade. It has been thrown around. Nesmith makes what? $2 million, something like that, 2.8, about 3. Edwards makes something like $2.5 million. So we're talking about $5 million, $6 million right there. So you would think that would chip the $22 million on Barnes contract down to, let's do some math here in my head. Barnes is 22 minus 6. 16, right? Yeah. So 16 million, would that be the number coming in off that TP? No, it'd be 22, because you absorb Barnes' contract with the 22 million out of the 28 million of the TPE. The money going out on the Celtics end only helps them from a hard cap perspective. Now, the Celtics are hard capped right now. They have $19 million of room under the hard cap. You get hard cap because you use your full mid-level extension. So you can't take $28 million. Like, I know Al Horford's name's getting thrown around. Celtics probably can't eat Horford's 26 or 28 million, whatever it is, because they're hard capped at 19. They can't go above that 19 number. But if you send out 6, that 19 goes up to what? 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's how I always counted. 25 million. So then you can absorb 22 million in Barnes and have a little bit of wiggle room under the hard cap, which is a little different than the tax. The tax, I think the Celtics have like 13 to 15 million room. The hard cap's a little bit above the tax. I think they call it the tax apron. So the Celtics, no matter what, unless they're sending out like Tristan Thompson for Harrison Barnes, which doesn't seem likely, are going to be staying in the tax, or going into the tax, because they're not in the tax right now. They have quite a bit of room under the tax, like 13 million. They will be going into the tax for Barnes, and the question that they're asking right now is that worth it? I seem to think it is, because in a game like this, you see that Semi Ojeley's minutes, they're not cutting it, especially playoff time. Like, I don't think – again, I love Semi. I love the strides he's made. You see the short roll there. You see the three-point percentage. But I don't want 20, 25 minutes of Semi come playoff time. I just don't want that. Or you're doing double big. So it's like, well, you pick your poison there. Right now, neither are working for this team, especially on the defensive end of the court. And our guy Cosmic Debris here points out this. Daniel Tice, expiring contract. Do you believe that you can keep him? Or do you package him as value right now into a deal because you know you're going to lose him? So I see CJ McCollum coming in for the game. That's exciting. So those are some of the questions we're asking. Those are some of the rumors that are being thrown around, and why it feels like the Celtics, as frustrating it is, aren't going to make a major move at this trade deadline. And I think they need to do something. Will I be happy about minor moves? And minor moves, I mean J.J. Redick, P.J. Tucker, depth guys that aren't going to change the final outcome of this team. You could consider Barnes that as a very expensive one, which is where the value question comes in. But I think Barnes is much better than that. He's a shoo-in starter. He's been a starter on a championship team, and he's better than that now. I mean, he was scoring 10 points a game when he won the championship with the Warriors. And that's all the Celtics really need with Brown, Tatum, and Kemba rolling. Even Smart. Like, they need 10 to 13 points from a guy steadily. They don't have anything like that right now. And he's efficient. I think some nights he can rise well above that to the 20s. We've seen him score 28 against the Celtics team. And it's not like he's getting every single shot in Sacramento. He's been efficient this year, playing off Fox, playing off Buddy Hield sometimes, third, fourth option on that team. I think Barnes is so perfect for this team, and eventually you could package him up, move him up, and you are hedging against the possibility that there's nothing there for the Celtics this offseason. So all of a sudden you're just ending up with a player who is solid, who helps you, who's part of your core for 3 years to come, and I think raises your ceiling a little bit above where it is right now. Maybe not the championship level, but could it get you back in the Eastern Conference Finals? That's what I think is the possibility with Harrison Barnes, but who knows? Windows A is in our chat who wanted to join but was cooking pollo con arroz. Put a word with the T-Wolves front office, he says. They can swing Okoji for Tatum and Smart. I thought that was actually going to be serious. I didn't even screen that one. You might have to load that with picks and throw in Naz Reid. All right, there's my cue. Time for a water break. I'll catch you guys for the second half. All right. Got my antioxidants, and we're ready to go. That walk down for water was too long. This halftime is short. And it looks like we're going to have an early game tonight, which is always refreshing. More often than not, these games go on with replay and everything else. I never want to become that guy in sports media who's rooting for 30-minute games and just can't wait to get out of there. Yeah, and I always want to enjoy this to the point where there's a passion that comes out of me. Like, I don't know. There's just such a blessing to this that I guess erodes over years that I don't like seeing. But every so often, it is nice to get a quick game and not stay up till 3 a.m., so I understand it to some degree. As Mitchell gets one to go, Brown, outstanding. I saw his hanging 2-point and one on the left side of the post there, driving in the rim. As Tatum's going to get ready for a post-up opportunity early in the second half, turnaround, just off. But a good night for Tatum as well. But Brown, star of the Celtics offense tonight, as he was many games early in the first half. And if he can circumvent as he gets a good rebound there out to Kemba on a tap, Kemba gets fouled in the break. If he can rekindle some of that first half efficiency, then we're talking about an all-NBA season for Brown. Undoubtedly. Probably second team. The efficiency was what was startling about his race to the All-Star game. 55% from the field on volume, 40% from three. Even got his free throw rate up to like 77. Free throw percentage, that is. As Tatum goes to the rim, right-hand floater, sits on the edge, and pops out to Daniel Tice off the fingertips of Tatum. Brown, floater, no good. His bounce in and out as well. Celtics ball off of Gobert. The Celtics start with Semi again. They know Smart's going to be limited, so they're not pushing that. They want him to close this game. And that's where we always come to that question. Who's starting? Who's finishing? There's a lot of mitigating factors. With Rob in particular, who has closed some games this year. Lakers, Pelicans, Pacers. It's about who finishes, not who starts. So tonight on post game, what do you want to hear about? We'll talk Thompson rumors. Oh, great ball movement, inside out to Joe Ingles, who is automatic from three if he has any amount of space, it seems. That guy is impressive. And I know Sean Grandy had said this about a week ago because Celtics keep referring to the Jazz as a team that they want to emulate as Kemba Walker goes underneath, misses, and Daniel Tice puts it back in. An outstanding Daniel Tice game continues. Rudy Gobert beat Tice off the dribble there. So Tice with a putback. And another foul. I mean, Daniel Tice with the foul. And let me crunch some numbers here, as I like to do. Brad Stevens tonight likes the Gobert versus Tice matchup, as Tice gets another bucket to go off the glass. Tice just piling up the buckets right now as Teague rotates into the game. He's effectively taking Peyton Pritchard and Aaron Nesmith's minutes here, as Mitchell misses a spinning dunk. Teague, Kemba, off underneath, Jazz ball. Some point-blank misses by both teams right now.
The 30 stands for the 30-day money-back guarantee you get with the Tarmac Club Your Car Guarantee. I didn't notice.
So the shots are not flowing, and the game is not flowing effectively right now for either team. As we hit a wall here at 63 to 66. Celtics perspective, Cosmic. Long viewer here. And let me do our chat overlay. It's a cool new feature. You can see that, right? I like that. Let's roll with that. Encourage some people to go. PJ Tucker possibility. I don't love the PJ Tucker thing right now. I know he's probably mailing it in for the Rockets, but he looks so bad, so slow, so inactive on the wing, which is ultimately where I think the Celtics want to play him with the three bigs that are in the house right now. I don't want to trade Thompson, Tice, or I know I wanted to do Tice early in the year, but I had a different idea of what Tucker was then. I think he's declined. He's been playing basketball for a long time. Might have missed the bus on him. And that Raptors year that he won in 17, I think he could have made a real difference here in Boston. So that one's always going to frustrate me. The Celtics let the Raptors get him, I believe, from the Suns at the time, and he was really good for the Suns too. That helped the Raptors out a lot. Ultimately, not too much. The Celtics made it further than them that year, but I think he could have helped them compete better deeper into that playoffs.
Sometimes in life you get a little thirsty, and when a refreshing opportunity comes along, just shoot, that's good.
Our guy Nate says Daniel Tice playing like he's worth $400 million. I keep telling you guys, there's some money out there for Daniel Tice. Best fantasy team name I've ever heard, unrelated, as we talk about NFL free agency. Anyone care about NFL free agency? My Balzac Ertz. Best fantasy football team name I've ever heard, courtesy of my friend Anthony Pizzo. Robert Williams gets his own miss inside, loses the second attempt for a turnover, and the Jazz are running on transition, although a little stone-footed. They weren't able to get into the zone fast. Celtics set themselves with Teague fouls. Teague. It's Teague tonight. Aaron Gordon, I've seen quite a few names circled around him. I've seen the Warriors. I've seen quite a few others. And I would imagine that the market for him will be pretty hot as a young wing defender who still has some offensive upside if his role is diminished a little bit. I've read everything about him because I love him. I love his size. Obviously, the dunk contest heroics. But what does he really have to offer? A lot of spinning jumpers in the lane, mid-range shots. His three comes and goes, but more often it's going. I think there's potential to be unlocked there. But like John Collins, and maybe even more than John Collins because he signed in a pretty good contract, I don't see it. I think it's going to cost multiple first-round picks. I think you're going to have to entice the Magic by being aggressive to get them off him. I think he's more attainable than Vucevic, obviously. Less attainable than probably Terrence Ross and Evan Fournier, who the Magic ideally want to trade and probably will trade at this trade deadline. But Aaron Gordon, they can be enticed, but it's going to take something aggressive. Let's say like 3 first-round picks from the Celtics, young player or two. Is it worth it? Like I just tend to think it is. And maybe, I'd go Barnes over him because I think Barnes is more proven and reliable and would fit well here as a three-point shooter rather than a poor three-point shooter, which is really what Gordon is. But if you're looking for upside, if you're looking for a guy that could grow alongside this Tatum and Brown core, because Barnes ultimately is what he is at this point, is Rob rims out on a 2-point jumper, then you go Gordon. Fournier, he's okay. He's inconsistent. For a really cheap price, I might take him here, and I got to look at that contract. Let me share a new screen here. Oop. Sorry, all I have to do is change the ESPN page. Let's look at the Evan Fournier contract because that's going to sway me. I take a flyer on a guy who's an expiring that you could possibly match, but it doesn't look like that's what he is. He makes $17 million. So that's TPE money there. And he isn't expiring, but that TPE expires too if you eat $17 million of a contract and he just walks out the door. I'm not with it on a Fournier, on a Marcus Aldridge, certainly, Andre Drummond. And Andre Drummond makes more than the TPE, so he's not an option. So you want something sustainable with that TPE. You really do. You want something that's going to be around here for a long time. So let's check out Mr. Fournier. Oop, I want to do a big screen. Get rid of this chat. Fournier, not going to put too much stock in this year, but this year is just like last year when they were a playoff team. Good three-point shooting. Scores off the dribble, able to put up a lot of them. I think he has decent size. Passes a little bit. Not the strongest rebounder. More of a 2. He's going to be playing like a Brown role as Favors. And the Jazz are digging into the Celtics right now, 72-65. Elder Scrolls, ESPN. Tatum, step back 3 is good. It's a good shot for him. Jazz bench beating up that Celtics bench a little bit tonight. They're making Rob move. And the Celtics foul Jordan Clarkson, who has been unstoppable tonight. When we think of 5 of 10 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. Marcus Smart struggling a little bit tonight. Teague struggling, as he often does. Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, those are bench guys, bench rotation guys for the Jazz. Lethal scorers. That's a legit second unit in Utah. Not quite. It's more of a staggered second unit for them. Like, those guys legitimately come off the bench. Celtics just keep relying on starters in their bench. That includes Smart, frankly. Like, we know he's top 5 on this team. He'll be playing crunch time over Ojale. And you ideally want to see Rob get involved there, but set stretches of effectiveness tonight on offense, defense. It's been tough. This is a tough team to defend.
There are never-ending ways to describe our signature classics Olive Garden. Creamy, nasty, mouth-watering, but you know them simply as your favorites. And now add Asiago Provolone Chicken Alfredo to your list. Only at Olive Garden.
And the Celtics are challenging the 3-point foul on Jaylen Brown. Similar play, kick out or underneath. That's always the question when there's close contact at the court. One of the hardest calls in the NBA right now to make. Talk about hard calls. That Knicks ending last night, didn't love it. I feel like players do that all the time. And maybe it is the rule, maybe it's the letter of the law, but I've always seen players do that. When the ball is touched, you can kind of drop it and regain position without it being a double dribble. You can kind of use the defensive pressure. I think that's done with blocks, not as much, but blocks occasionally. incidentally. But you almost never see the offensive player punished for losing the ball unless the other player comes up with it or it ends up being a jump ball. Jason Tatum gets another shot to go. Quietly been a hot night for him. So I'm seeing... Rob. Nice block on Gobert. They're going to go high for a lob. Woo-hoo-hoo. What a transition lob from Tatum to Rob. Whew. 10-point game for Robert Williams. A block on Gobert in the lane. And a major momentum play off the hands of Jason Tatum. Mike Conley didn't know what to do. Can't get up there with Rob. That makes it 75-72. What a lob. And is Gobert going to be called for an illegal screen there on Marcus Smart? Yes, he is. So Celtics forcing a couple turnovers. Some life here late in the third quarter. Tatum. Rob slip screen. Real screen. 3. And 1. And 1. Tie game. Rob. Tatum. Smart. Turn this game around. And a couple miscues by Rudy Gobert. His detesters, as our man in the comment here, are going to be thrilled to see that one. Mike Zarin, Danny Ainge pumped to see that play. Grant, offensive rebound. Marcus Smart for 3. And another bench effort. Tatum active. Looking good defensively. Contests a shot there. Rob rebounds. Doesn't turn it over in traffic. Gets it out between Conley and Clarkson to Smart. Tatum turnaround. 2 just off. Celtics have a 2-point lead. Jazz off on another jump shot. Celtics rotating well. It's Kemba, Tatum, Grant, Rob, Smart, Williams. Smart try to catch a lob, hanging lob. Tip into the basket, and no good. 79-77 is our score after 3. This game is flying. Post game going to be here absolutely no time. The only thing delaying this game a little bit are those replays.
We're delivering better sleep to homes everywhere. With a mattress so supportive and comfortable, it was awarded Best Overall Mattress by US News. So, wherever home is for you, now's your chance. Sleep. Save
Love that bench effort to close. They went down early. Still see from the Celtics early in that quarter. So Celtics, strong victory today. I'll feel good about the effort, but I don't think the Celtics are in a position to take moral victories right now. You got to win this one. If you're in position, got to win this game. You're up. Jazz are struggling from the field. They haven't defended great. Honestly, it looks like Brown and Tatum can kind of get wherever they want against this defense. Rob, obviously able to get where he wants. Here's Brad. Transition, the emphasis for Stevens. I love it too, on these smaller units. As the Jazz tie it quick into the fourth quarter. Payton Pritchard getting some minutes. Wasn't a great night for Teague. Celtics go to Pritchard now without any minutes until the start of this fourth quarter. Grant has earned a few. Good offensive rebound, set up a smart three at the end of that third quarter, and he misses a short turnaround. It's a ball time for Pritchard and Williams on the first possession, who haven't had any, respectively, all night. And it's a three for who else? Jordan Clarkson. The Jazz, this one is going to be because of Joe Ingles. Jordan Clarkson, 20 points, 6 of 12. He does it so silently. As Niang hit Gobert for an early lob. Brown getting trapped. Navigating around the pick and roll coverage and hits a turnaround too. Some crafty work there from Brown. I love that. Gets the Celtics within one. We're going to have a fun close to this game. Celtics, I feel like they've competed well with the Western Conference this year, which can be an indicator of your strength, but you're ultimately going to be going up against your conference in the playoffs. Niang hits a corner three, and the Jazz are on fire to start this third. 3 straight shots. And Gobert blocks Brown. Jazz making a statement here early in this fourth quarter. Lob to Gobert from Niang. 4 straight shots, and the Jazz take a 6-point lead. Dominant start in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter.
I love my games. That is the price. Yeah. Another beer or something different?
How about this super Philly IPA? What a dark.
How about a vegan ginger highball?
It's time for some straight talk. You've heard the old saying, less is more. Sorry, we don't buy it. Why can't more be less? More power, more speed, more money in your pocket. It is with iPhone SE and Straight Talk Wireless. The fully loaded iPhone SE is now at our lowest price ever, just $149. All on the best networks. There's something more than exciting. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart. Gosh, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Hip Hop Group Tag Team to help you plan dessert?
Big news around the league. Jared Dudley going down with an MCL. He doesn't want surgery because he wants to spot minutes in the playoffs. I love Jared Dudley, but will they need it? I don't know. Definitely need him around. I think he's a good presence on that team. There's a reason he's back. Could have used that roster spot. They obviously ended up cutting Quinn Cook this year to make some sort of addition. And they've kept Jared Dudley, who will continue to stick around, it appears, despite his injury status. Johnny, great advice.
Taco Bell's quesalupa is back with its cheese-stuffed shell. But there's nothing worse than over.
Can't say any better.
So we'll skip the sweet.
Gobert's just lob city to the rim right now.
And the pyro.
It's a 10-2 run.
Don't hold on to your seats. We're just here to tell you. The quesalupa's cheese-stuffed shell is back. And we think you'll like it.
It's a 10-2 run. Here we go. 10 minutes ago. Celtics Jazz. There aren't many home games left for the Celtics without fans. They'll get a little noise in here March 29th against the Pelicans. Right now it's Danny Ainge, Mike Zarin, company around the rim. I got a piece coming on what it's like to be on empty TD Garden. Celtics blog this week. Be reading that maybe tomorrow. Celtics at the Cavaliers tomorrow. And Gobert from Jordan Clarkson, pick and roll, dunks it on Daniel Tice's head. For our friend in the comments, making fun of Rudy Gobert before the game ended, he has something to say here. Kemba. Celtics down 9 now. He's off on a 2. Celtics don't have much time before this could get out of hand. Jordan Clarkson, Georges Niang ripping this team apart on the ball. Clarkson step back 3. Almost goes in and makes this a double-figure game. Jaylen Brown. Grant Williams playing late with Tice as Brown hits a 3. Spot up 3. Could have been a double-figure game. Now it's down to 6. Jordan Clarkson pull up this time good. Or Mike Conley, rather. A left-hander. Coming in, hitting a 3. Tough defense on Kemba. Avoids the tight screen. Kemba going downhill. Blocked from behind by Gobert. Perfect defense. Turnover Celtics. Jazz locking up. But very frustrated. You can hear him saying, "What are you talking about on that block out of bounds? Are the Celtics going to get the ball back?" Looks like it. They reverse the call. Yeah, go pretty evidently blocking from behind. Grant Williams, corner 3. No good. Rob Williams comes into the game for Tice. Pritchard for Kemba. And Celtics are going to squeeze out some bench minutes, rather. Rob, good defense on Mitchell. And Brown fouled in transition. Thanks for anyone joining us here for crunch time. We got about 7 minutes to go. We'll be bouncing over to post game. After this, Johnny, bench differential, biggest difference in this game from the first quarter on. The Jazz bench unloaded on the Celtics. We talk about Niang, Ingles, who isn't even in right now. I mean, it's the Jazz are unloading on the Celtics, and it feels like Niang is going to come in crunch time and just bury them the way he's shooting. Mitchell hasn't been that strong. You know, he lights it up late in the fourth. That's what he did last time. It's going to be a tough one to turn around. Brown around a Rob screen. Left side and 1. Jaylen Brown keeping the Celtics in it right now. Transition, dribble penetration, and this could make it a 6-point game. Scoring through Derek Favors with some help from Rob. All fouls are and 1s tonight for the Celtics. Just 3 of them. Brown makes it. 6-point game. Strap in. We're in crunch time. Just change the YouTube title. Celtics Jazz heading to crunch time. Jaylen Brown, 23 points. 10 of 17 from the field. And we're in for a good finish here. Brown, Pritchard, double team Mitchell. Bogdanovich for 3. That's going to push us back to 9. The Jazz shooting so well when it matters. Double team. Celtics get a turnover. Brown with the steal. Tatum with the finish. Nice trap at half court on Donovan Mitchell, who turned it over. Jazz out of control with the turnovers tonight. Payne Pritchard into the game with some good on-ball defense. This is now going to be a call for a foul on Bogdanovich. And where was Peyton Pritchard early in this game? It's another question I have. Good help defense by Rob. Rob had just gotten a tip in. Rob's going to get some crunch time minutes here, it seems. So news around the NBA right now as we are 9 days away from the trade deadline. Trevor Ariza to the Heat is a conversation. And I was talking to people earlier. The Heat are a team you do not want to see in the playoffs. I saw that Magic Heat ending the other night. Jimmy Butler swatting the ball away in the transition in crunch time to take a lead. Locking up defensively in crunch time. Scoring a super quiet 28 points. Hard to see a team that made the NBA Finals last year is flying under the radar, but they got started slow. They've had injuries, COVID, all the rest, and they are starting to get in this form here. Coming into tonight, and they do have depth issues. Injury issues aren't going away. They got completely decimated into the finals last year as great as their run was. We are talking about right now 4 seed. So they've come a long way. They're peaking at the right time. They're 9-1 over the last 10, and they are better than the Celtics at this point. Something to watch. And they are going to get deeper if Trevor Ariza comes into the fold. Kevin O'Connor, our former colleague over at Celtics blog, says tonight that Heat and Thunder are discussing a trade that sent Trevor Ariza to Miami. Oklahoma City wants a second-round pick. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about it on post-game night, but if these are the prices, Neesmith and first for Barnes, a second Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza would help the Celtics a little bit. You just not want to pay tax. Is that the thing? Does every team around the NBA not want to be in the tax this year? Maybe that's what it comes down to. Heat don't have a lot of second rounders, as I think about it. So I wonder how that's going to come into play here. There's this weird thing in the league where if you have less, the asking price is less. And teams are pretty certain that the Heat are not giving up on Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson, because I think the Heat could add James Harden for those type of guys as a centerpiece. Consolidate their roster a little bit. Royce O'Neal takes a weird 3 as the Celtics send out Smart, Brown, Kemba Walker, Robert Williams, and Jason Tatum as their likely crunch time lineup, and it's a step back. It's a step back for Kemba Walker. He's back with 5 minutes to go in the third, and the Celtics are back 2 within 3. 98-95 is the score. Kemba, step back. Gotta love the starting lineup, and it's a block. Robert Williams with a block on Mitchell. Block a charge. That's going to be the call. It's going to be a charge on Jason Tatum. Jordan Clarkson, who has had a perfect game, takes a charge on Jason Tatum at the rim, and a ginormous momentum play by Robert Williams is for nothing. Does keep this a one-possession game. It's the elbow action by Tatum. Elbows Clarkson twice heading to the rim. Clarkson probably wasn't set, but Tatum can't do all that elbow action. It's something he has to get out of his game a little bit. You can get away with it sometimes, but in a big moment like that, you got to just finish. Paul Pierce was so good at that in transition against a transition defender. Clarkson for three. Bounces high and out. And might be Jazz ball on the tip out. Marcus Smart has not had his best game. Celtics are looking for that wing right now. Robert Williams, outstanding again. Smart, handoff, Kemba, Mitchell. Kemba getting aggressive with Mitchell. Kemba tips the ball out. Mitchell heaves it. Air ball. Shot clock tipping down. Bogdanovich misses. Celtics need a rebound, and it is Kemba Walker stepping up defensively. Kemba Walker, dish out to Jaylen Brown for three. No good. Jaylen needed that one. He was wide open. 4.5 minutes to go. Jordan Clarkson, drive dunk. Misses. Another point-blank miss for the Jazz as Tatum finishes. And it's a one-point game, 98-97. Celtics just got so fortunate that Clarkson missed a dunk at the rim. Mitchell had done it earlier. And it is 98-97 Jazz with 4:10 to go. What a ride this fourth quarter's been. Jazz took two commanding 9-point leads. And the Celtics behind Robert Williams, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, slow work, and some nice craftiness by Kemba Walker get back into this game. Robert Williams, how many winning plays has he made tonight? It's above 10. I know that. It's going to be a fun post game tonight. We have rumors galore. We have a good game, and there's 4 minutes to go. As Conley lines up Brown, they try some screen action to free Ingles, and they call a foul on Rudy. I don't know. Everybody's mad right now. I can't tell. Quinn Snyder's freaking out. Tatum's shocked. And it's Jazz ball. I don't know what Quinn Snyder was upset about. Foul on Jason Tatum. Slip. Inbounds to Conley. Hands it back to Mitchell. Mitchell freed. Pulls up from a three and gets it. Kemba need to stay home there. But he was latched to Mike Conley. Mike Conley for three, 104-97. on a fast break run out. Celtics gonna need some more heroics. 3 minutes to go. Marcus Smart, left wing. Brick. Put back attempt. Robert Williams is good. 104-99. Smart got his own miss and handed to Rob for off the glass 2. So Rob versus Rudy Gobert. They try to avoid this matchup all night. Can Rob get the coverages right? He stays low on Conley's 3, but Conley off balance. Doesn't get to go. Brown so fast in transition gets it to go. You heard how fast that happened in my voice. Brown had got it and went. Celtics get fortunate on some Rob coverage down the stretch there that Conley wasn't able to get another 3 to go. It's been a 3-point flurry for the Jazz tonight, and it hurts the Celtics so badly. Celtics are a good 3-point defense, too. Smart going behind the back trying to stay with Mitchell and not foul. Gets caught up by a screen by Gobert, and he fouls. Smart staying close with Mitchell. And this time Gobert fouls Smart on a screen. Quite a few of those tonight. Gobert has piled up the fouls. Marcus Smart, so aggressive on those screens. If you're moving, if you're trying to keep them off his path, they might just catch you. And Smart has drawn 2 offensive fouls on those plays. Tatum around a Rob screen. So it'd be a big moment for a 3. He's going to go downhill instead. Rob with a nice steal, and they call him for an offensive foul. He can't believe it in the face of an official. Stevens, frustrated. And is that steal a foul or not? They can't seem to get this call right. And this is going to drive me crazy right here. Rob's arm might have moved, but that teams do that all day, every day in this league. And it is very rarely called. As Bogdanovich misses a 3, Rob on the rebound. Celtics another chance to tie it. Just over 90 seconds to go in this game. Smart 3, rims out. Smart cannot get a basket to go tonight. Celtics need to stop. Smart around the Gobert screen. Mitchell for 3. That might have been the game. Jazz have been the better shot-making team down the stretch. They might deserve this. Smart pull-up 3. No good. Missed it badly. Under a minute to go. Celtics going to foul Gobert here. Send him to the free throw line. Frustrating calls tonight. Clarkson's kick out on Brown appeared to be a kick out. Got him 3 free throws. Rob that steal screen down the stretch tonight. 109, 101, just like that.
Sports fans are gearing up at NBAStore.com, the official store of the NBA. Assortment of NBA fan gear anywhere with unique, one-of-a-kind designs by fanatics and authentic fan gear, the latest styles for every NBA team and all the players you love.
We talked coming into the night about the limitations of the Jazz, their best players, not stacking up against the best players on the other team.
What's the difference?
Let me show you. I'm pretty sure these are poisonous.
Tonight, did Smart have to take all those shots down the stretch? We'll do that again here on postgame. It's been a little while, huh? Oh, it feels like it's been like 2 or 3 months since we've talked about Marcus Smart's shot selection. Down the stretch, they'll take those over Grant Williams, Daniel Tice. And the first shot was a 2-pointer, which you have to imagine. Tatum around the tight screen. Gets it to go and one. So some life for the Celtics here. Tatum goes around a Daniel Tice screen this time. And gets it to go to Rudy Gobert. Gobert's going to be close to fouling out. It's 4 fouls. Here comes Rob Williams. $12 of 22. This one's going to make it 30 for Jason Tatum if he can hit it. And it's a big one. Put the Celtics down 5. He missed it. Put back attempt. No good either. Could have made a 4-point play. Tatum missed a point-blank layup after a free throw and bangs the stanchion. F-bomb. Spills out. And that's going to cap a frustrating close to this game for the Celtics. They can't keep letting these games slip that they're right in. They're 12-5 at home. This has been a place where they've dominated and a place where for 3 quarters tonight they were the better team. Closing stretch in the 4th quarter. Not nearly as good. So minutes won't be the discussion after this one. Maybe you could have called more Peyton Pritchard minutes. It's possible that Rob could have played a little more, I guess, what people will say, but he got the crunch time minutes. Overall, the minutes funneled to Smart, who was able to play a little bit more in this one, it felt like. 24. He had a horrible shooting night that damaged the Celtics. Robert got 22, so I think he was right on the mark minute-wise. Had a great game. That foul was frustrating late, down 3. But so were the Smart threes, and the benches was the difference in this one. Celtics had no depth at all. Have to go to Grant for 17 again, and this is what we're talking about. If you're going back away from double big, what are you in for? 19 Ojale, 17 to Grant. And the depth on this Celtics team wasn't enough to keep up tonight as Kemba hits a three, 22 seconds left. Mitchell off to the races, and they're going to foul him. So that should be the game with 20 seconds left. We'll get into more takeaways from this one after, but I love what we saw from Brown, Tatum. Love what I saw from you guys. We just had 100 comments. We had 100 subscribers tonight. I mean, the love in my heart for you guys is just through the roof. I mean, we got a dozen people in here every game watching. This is great. Appreciate all you guys. 100 subscribers. I mean, that's just awesome. I just, love watching these games with you guys. Hope you're going to continue to hang out. Tatum, love the game tonight. Brown, looks like he's got his foot in back below him, but closing, rotations, depth. Also concerns for the Celtics team as well as defense. Fouling a problem in this game. And Celtics get a couple threes to go down the stretch here. And they're going to try to extend this one with 10 seconds left, but down 6. Probably not enough. We'll get into some takeaways. Trade rumors. All the stuff you guys want to hear. It's going to be a really good post-game show, so let me go get ready for that. This game's over. Celtics lose. Got the 4-game win streak before the break, but this is now 2 out of 3 lost after the break. And Cavaliers tomorrow, no Kemba. Friday's the Kings. Should be 2 winnable games right there, but right now nothing's been easy for this team. So we'll see you then. I'll be back for that one tomorrow night. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Bobby Manning. First one's the pastor, second one's me when you search it on Twitter, or YouTube rather. I'm out.